I'm a bass player, and I think you guys should be nicer to us. We hold the groove, man.
I'm so sorry, 308 Media, Mike. They're there. And yes, by the way, I would like fries with my order. I apologize to the rest of the audience. Wow, we finally found an honest guitar player. Morning, everybody. How's it going? So I did batch a bunch of these so I could do a little bit of traveling this month. I should be in Osaka today, or at least taking the bullet train down to Osaka in Japan. So if anybody's in the Osaka area and wants to hang out, hey, hit my socials up, look on my Instagram, whatnot. Let me know where you're at, because I'm always down to hang out. We're definitely going to be checking out some of the arcades there. Should be an awful lot of fun, that's for sure. Oh yeah, almost forgot pop culture recommendations this week would be Rob Halford's Confess. I read the book. I even listened to the audiobook. Fantastic stuff. Rob reads it himself. He's got such a wonderful voice, as we've all heard on his many records. Really cool book. Definitely, it's very, very brutally honest in a lot of ways. All I can say is I can't imagine how freaking lonely it would have been for him in the 70s and early 80s, touring in one of the world's biggest metal bands and not being able to be completely honest about who you are. That couldn't have been easy. So, I do have to sympathize with the guy there quite a bit for that. So I think that says a lot about the man's character as well, willing to put his own needs behind the needs of the group, which was very admirable in a way. Thankfully, we as a world have moved on, and people don't have to live in the closet anymore. So, hey, massive salute to you there, Rob. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. It was definitely eye-opening, that's for sure. And what else is going on? I think I'm going to start Three Body Problem this weekend. Fingers crossed that it doesn't suck. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet or not. Apparently, the books were amazing. Hopefully, the show is pretty cool. Hopefully, the guys who made it don't fuck it up like they did to Game of Thrones. Time will tell. We got a really fun episode for you today, so let's get right to it.
All this bass player bashing is getting really annoying.
Bass players were whining the exact same thing 10 years ago in the summer of 2014. When I started doing viewers' comments, you guys have accomplished nothing in that time. You think somebody might have practiced. Here's the thing. Stop writing my jokes for me and I'll stop bass player bashing. It's really not that difficult. But if the last 10 years are any evidence, yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath.
Spent thousands of dollars on guitars and humbuckers swapping, chasing tone. Now I spend hundreds of dollars on speakers chasing tone. I still spend thousands of dollars on guitars and humbuckers, but now I do it just for looks.
Wow, we finally found an honest guitar player. What's next? A bass player who can play? See what I did there, Roderick?
Chatting with a friend at a show last night, neither of us are into metal or sound engineering, and neither of us play guitar in our respective bands, but we discovered that we both love Glenn. 10 out of 10 right checks.
You know what? Awesome. Thank you so much for watching that. You didn't say what you play, but I guarantee if you watch some of my episodes, I've definitely insulted you at one point or another. I think I've hit all the major different instruments that go along with playing rock and roll. I've done episodes on drummers, bass players, guitar players, vocalists, I think I've had everybody. I mean, like the only major band I can think of that had anything completely out to lunch in that terms, as far as metal goes, was the band Oni, and they had a guy playing Electric Vibes, which was kind of different. So, and I've got to give credit to that guy because he could actually fucking play. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't hit the subscribe button,
it'd be a lot cooler if you did.
All right, guys, we got something brand new this week. New feature for you. This is the Dumbass of the Week.
I bet he voted for Biden.
I'm trying to fucking pronounce your name. I can't even do it. Okay, thank you so much for making it easy to understand who the fuck you are. But I can see that you're a drummer, and I can say this probably comes as absolutely no shock to any of us out there that you've probably never been sober long enough to realize that on the northern end of the United States, there's something called a border. And I live on the other side of it, you fuckwit! Surprise! Not everybody who lives on planet Earth comes from the United States of America or votes in American elections. You made this in response to one of my test videos, and this is literally the best response you can come up with. Insult me for the person I voted for. This has nothing to do with the test that was presented or any of the evidence. None of that. No, let's just go after the man's character based on his political leanings. Wow, are you ever a fucking moron or what? Jesus Christ, I hope nobody ever hands you a firearm. I apologize to the rest of the audience for this, but apparently I have to say this here clearly so everybody can understand, even the drummers. Canadians can't vote in American elections, okay? Understand? Good! Now, I humbly suggest you get back to making the world a more awesome place like you were before you typed in that genius comment. Run for your lives! It's the Spectre Digital Spring Thing! From the frozen north, the thing emerges to wreak havoc throughout the world of pro audio plugins. It only comes once a year to give you the ultimate virtual rhythm section, element bass amp, singularity virtual bass, and extinction level event 2.0 drums. A package so heavy, so lethal, it can't be contained. What's more, the thing includes Metal Essentials Volume 1 and Volume 2, custom MIDI groove packs for Extinction Level event. But the horror continues! You also get Alex Nazla's mixing and mastering a full metal album, and plus all of my courses too. Total heavy guitar, producing prog metal, mixing symphonic folk metal, and mixing metal and Reaper with free plugins for all of you guys out there looking for the best deal possible. The spring thing has come, but it will only be around till Sunday night, and then it's moving on to terrorize another dimension. Get it now for only $180 or 4 payments for only $45 because no one escapes the Spectre Digital Spring Thing.
Who would be seen on stage with a CORT guitar?
Well, Neil, apparently you didn't get the memo from last week when we talked to Pete Jones and his obsessive compulsive disorder comments. He left like 5 comments in a row. He was so butthurt that I actually did a review on CORT. You ask who would be seen playing a CORT guitar on stage. Well, hit the bell, dumbass. It's time to go to school. If you spend 3 seconds, doing a Google search, you can find out because guess what? Ibanez, PRS, SE line, Squire, and G&L tribute lines of guitars are among the most well-known brands that CORT produces. Oh. So anytime you see a guy with a PRS SE up on stage, that's not a PRS, that's made by CORT. This happens in manufacturing all the time. During my time at Chrysler, we built the Lancias. I was actually the right-hand drive guy, and I'd actually chase those down the line because we get only 4 or 5 a day. So they gave the job to me, and I'd have to hook up the gas and do a whole bunch of turn signals and that kind of thing. It took a little while to do, but we only had a few to do, so cool job. And the second one we did the Volkswagen Routan. These are all Chrysler vehicles with different badges. The exact same thing happens in the guitar industry. CORT has their own brand, but they're also an OEM manufacturer for many other brands as well. So here's an idea. Instead of mocking the name CORT, why don't you get off your fucking high horse, take a look around, and realize that CORT is building a giant percentage of the guitars that you like.
How does this guy still get views when he hasn't done anything of note other than post on YouTube?
Well, it's certainly not because of my shredding ability, that's for sure. Who knows? Maybe people just enjoy the content I make. Have you ever considered that?
I've been really enjoying lots of your videos on speakers. Inspired me to get that Harley Benton 2x12 V30 cab for my first tube amp after using an uninspiring practice amp. I was wondering, what's the reason you always put mixed speakers in a cab and an X pattern? How will putting 4 different speakers in work out? Is buying a different speaker to go mixed on a 2x12 worth it?
Great question, man. Actual questions for a change. I usually do X patterns because if you ever do go play live, it'll just kind of disperse things a little bit more evenly. As for actual recording, I don't know what would happen if you put both speakers left, both speakers right. That's probably an experiment I need to make at some point. I also happen to have a mixed batch of 2x12s out there. There's no problem with that. I'll do several different variations, and that way I can just make demos faster. How that's going to affect your sound in the room remains to be seen. Again, something else I haven't tested. But for my money, it really hasn't made any big difference putting a speaker on one side versus putting something completely different on the other. Now, I've had the question come up about 4 different speakers in the same cabinet. I've never actually done that, and I'm not sure how much of a benefit it would have, to be honest with you. So maybe that's something I can run down in the future as well. The simple answer is, I don't know. Why do guitar players have such a hard time saying that? Anyway, thanks for the suggestion. Thanks for the honest question. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to experiment with some different speakers, especially if you're trying to record your guitar sound and trying to make a good improvement quickly. So give it a shot, man. It definitely can't hurt. Just remember, always make A/B tests before and after, because it helps you keep track of where things are going.
Yes, very well said. And the thing isn't about ruining anyone's fun or trying to be a know-it-all, but exactly the opposite. It's trying to give people a better idea of what is actually true or not, and will help them achieve their goals better. Like a good coworker pointing out a trick you can do at work that will save you a bunch of time. If it actually works, and will be, and be better off because of it.
Well, Michael Barker, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. You kind of hit the nail on the head. That's the whole motivation for this show, is to help you avoid making the mistakes I made and help you avoid wasting money on things you might not need. I know people tend to get a little upset when confronted with honesty, but hey, the job here is not about your feelings. It's to help you become informed. And if you got screwed over by some marketing and threw a bunch of money away on something you didn't need, don't get mad at me for showing you. Get mad at the guy who sold it to you.
Man, it's not what you hear, it's what you feel. That's why I prefer a good amp and a bad speaker than a good speaker and a bad amp.
Yeah, you know what? Tell that to the people who come into my studio to record. I've never once heard them say they care about how it feels when it's coming across the studio monitors.
Dear Glenn, thank you for pointing us in the right direction. After listening to your advice, I took a speaker cable out of my Fender Bullet practice amp into a 12-inch Hughes & Kettner speaker cabinet, and now my little 15-watt solid-state amp sounds amazing. Eric.
Hey, Eric, so happy to help. You know, I love getting comments like that. It just shows that, you know, some people are willing to experiment a little bit and try and maybe find a better solution. I'm so glad that worked out well for you. I'm so glad you're enjoying the results you're getting. That lets me know that I'm not just talking to a brick wall, because believe me, I sure feel like it sometimes, especially after reading some of the other comments on this show. Glad some people are getting it, and thank you so very much again.
Everyone, let's just admit that Glenn is the man and saves everyone money and teaches us tons.
James, I really do appreciate that, but dude, seriously, I'm not the man. I'm just a guy who worked really fucking hard for a long fucking time and made a lot of mistakes along the way. Hopefully I can help a few of you guys avoid making those same mistakes, because the truth of it is, none of us really know what the fuck we're doing. The person who claims to be the expert, the person who thinks they've got it all figured out, or at least puts that across, is completely full of shit. Everyone's just making this up as we go along. That's the truth of it. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. I've got no problem admitting when I don't get it right, because that's how we learn, because we learn by failing forward. Hopefully a few of you guys get some use out of what I'm doing here and can wind up hanging on to your money in the process.
It's so bizarre. Audiophiles and any other category don't make this mistake. It should tell guitarists something that everyone knows: speakers matter way more when listening to music. Why would guitar be different?
Well, I think it's different because I think a lot of guitar players think that their speaker is somehow neutral, and that's just simply not the case. Somebody mentioned that in another comment somewhere, and I apologize to that person. I read that briefly last night. I didn't get your name, so if that is your comment, I sincerely apologize for not including your name here. Dude, I think you had a great point. Guitar players are under some illusion that their speakers are going to be neutral and don't affect their sound, and that's just simply not the case. You go from speaker to speaker, they're all going to have wild variations in frequency response, and the speaker is very much the final filter on the sound. It's just most of the stuff we've read about in, say, publications like Guitar World magazine, who I just took the piss out of earlier today, tend to push a lot of things that really don't make all that big of a difference, especially when it comes to the recording aspect of things. As it's geared more towards the player in the room, which nobody wants to see.
Glenn, I want to teach you a secret. When guitar players show up to my studio, I put a DI box in them, and if they ask what it's for, I tell them it's a magic tool that makes their guitar sound better. 9 times out of 10, I wind up using the direct signal and use an amp sim. During mixdown, they always say, "How did you make my amp sound better?" I tell them it was a secret pedal that I put in front of their amp.
Yeah, I find guitar players in the studio that have a little bit of knowledge can be extremely fucking dangerous. But, you know, the ones that don't really know what's going on, that put their trust in you, they're a little bit easier to work with. And that's the thing. It's not your job to use their amp to make their record. It's your job as a studio engineer to get the best result possible and show that musician in the best light possible. And if that means using a little bit of subtle trickery, so be it. I know there's been more than a couple of records I did where the bass player in the band didn't actually appear on the record, mainly because we wanted it to sound good. Hey, Roderick, if you're still watching this episode, if you ever went into a studio, man, you might want to check those CDs again and see if you actually did play on those records. All right, guys, that's it. Once again, I'm in Osaka this weekend, so if you see me roaming around on the streets, you think it's me, come say hi. I'll probably be more than happy to talk to you. I don't know how many Japanese fans we've got in the audience. If you're in Japan, please leave a comment and let me know. Like I said, I think it'd be super cool. And then next week, we're off to somewhere even cooler. Should have a few details on that as well. Anyway, you guys have an amazing weekend. I'll see you back here next time, and until then, let's make some great music together. And for those of you guys who stuck around to the end of this episode, you're wondering, what the hell does that say back there, Glenn? It's too out of focus. It says optimism. Nobody can ruin your day because you're probably going to ruin it yourself. Okay, Gillet. But if the last 10 years, Gilnotten. I think that's it. Oh, fuck. I've got this. Hold on. Wow, So